Was the social movements of family, nuclear, civil rights, and child abuse movement in the 1900s successful or not successful? We'll start off with the family movement, which isn't a movement, but there are movements that branch off of family. First, we will talk about the Christian family movement. This movement was when people fought for having a strong family that would always support each other no matter what. The next movement was divorce movement. This became a movement because most couples that don't work out with peace and harmony end up in divorce. Another movement was gay pride movement. The gay pride movement was to fight for a family that doesn't always need a mom and a dad. Having two dads or two moms was equally as valuable. Another movement was anti-abortion movement. The anti-abortion movement was made because when the baby was ready to go, both parents wanted to kill the baby. There are some movement that was made an impact in our society today. The way we live now, children are living with two married adults at 62%. Some are living with a parent in a remarriage at 15%, and others are living with parents that cohabit at 7%. The hope that families can live peacefully is still a question, but with the movement that we just talked about, the life of a family is so much better.
The second movement was nuclear movement. The nuclear movement happened because World War II started. The U.S. dropped a nuclear bomb on the city of Hiroshima in Japan. Afterwards, people were not excited about the results of the war. Many started to notice the side effects of nuclear energy. Scientists and other groups started to decide if nuclear energy should be used. Groups who hold anti-nuclear movement started to reform, and society started to see nuclear history differently. The nuclear movement has made many people think twice, but still to this day, resolving nuclear use is unknown, and more research must be put in for a final answer.
The third movement was civil rights movement. Equality was fought for by colored people and being able to do what others can do, especially whites. Fighting for freedom of speech was another part of the civil rights, and they wanted to speak out freely like whites. The life of most blacks was hard because they lived in harsh areas. Most were unable to live as luxurious as whites, and they fought to be able to live just like whites. Blacks were limited to having relationships and marriages, so fighting for equality was to help gain the power to be with whoever blacks wanted to be with. When blacks were being controlled by whites, they were unhappy and wanted the same rights. Blacks were given their own specific materials and tools to use. For example, blacks were given their own fountain and benches at parks, or on the bus they were to sit in the area with black seat labels on them, which was the back of the bus. This movement hugely affects today's society. Even though a lot is changed, like we are able to share most tools and materials. We are able to sit together on buses or drink from the same fountain. But the fact that your color is not white still puts colored people at disadvantage. People getting shot for no reason from police officers is because of their colors, and the consequences on the police officers are so light that some even evade the consequences, and you may question how is that fair. It's not, but the fight still goes on. Colored people will keep fighting for equality.
The final movement was the child abuse movement. Child abuse consists of many types of ways to handle a child poorly and horribly. One could be beating up your child with a bamboo stick, which is bad. Another is Another is child abuse can be taken to the next level, which can involve the life of the child. In this case, that is death. Something else can also be like neglecting. Neglecting is as worse as beating up like your own child. The consequences to this crime happening could put you behind bars. Child abuse could affect how the victim thinks in the future. Families should always love each other, not always fight over big or small things. Adults should always respect their child, just how child should respect their adults. Child abuse movement has made a huge impact in our society as parents tend to be less strict and aggressive at their own sons and daughters. The movement didn't stop all parents though, and some kids today still take a beating to their body.